Sire, the demons are now targeting the Sentinel's energy relay.
Yes.
It is an energy field.
Yes.
Launch the Slayer.
I only poo-poo farted for the good of humanity.
Alright, let's turn that down. I hope you enjoyed whatever the hell that was. Hello there, internet user. Very recently, the well-anticipated Doom the Dark Ages came out, and I love it. The prequel to two very popular first-person shooters has managed to create yet another awesome game that is still different than its Doom brothers, but it still manages to keep that special Doom charm. I played this game on launch. I spent 90 goddamn Canadian dollars, and I regret nothing. I played on Nightmare difficulty using the default difficulty settings, but I did spend several hours afterwards playing around with the sliders. I'm also in the middle of a Pandemonium playthrough at the time of writing the script. It took me about 25 hours to beat and nearly 100% the campaign, and it was genuinely some of the most fun I've had with a game in a while. Something you should know is that I'm a slow gamer. I take my sweet fucking time with games. And I'm stupid. On top of all that, I feel like making a little spoiler-free review. Just remember, this is all my opinion. I'll try to break down the contents of Doom the Dark Ages as unbiased as I can, and I'll be making some comparisons to Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal. Oh, and I'll keep spoilers to a minimum for those. First thing I want to quickly get out the way in case you're new to the franchise. The Doom games are a collection of fast-paced first-person shooters that requires you to be constantly moving around open or intricate battlefields, running up in enemy faces, whooping ass, and jamming out to some fire music. Doom 2016 was the reboot of the franchise. It was a simple but intense run-and-gun kind of game. Then Doom Eternal came out the womb and it was somehow even faster and more intense. Now we're at Doom the Dark Ages, where I think it's just as intense and fast as Eternal, if not even more. Now this new Doom game managed to switch up the formula quite drastically. As based Hugo Martin describes it, Doom 2016 had you run and gun, while Eternal had you jump and shoot. Doom the Dark Ages has you stand and fight. Eternal is kind of similar to 2016, except you're given more movement, equipment, and many enemy weaknesses to play with. Eternal forced players to learn quick swapping, which I guess was the meta in that game. It was also present in 2016, just not as necessary. I'll say right off the bat that quick swapping was nerfed to the goddamn ground in the new game. id Software took a fat shit and smeared it all over the game. You have to commit a lot more if you want to swap weapons in the midst of battle. However, what's cool about Doom the Dark Ages is that you pretty much have full freedom over what weapons you want to use. Like Doom 2016, the game lets you choose from the giant catalog of weapons with unique perks and instead forces the player to make good use of your shield and melee options. Now the shield, holy shit man, the shield is fucking awesome. It's a shield and a chainsaw in one. Anyone who thinks having such a tool is lame for whatever reason is stupid, don't listen to them. I want you to take a quick look at this. This is running. Never heard of it. I don't go outside. Dude, shut up. Now, look at this. This is, whoa, you got a little dash thingy? That's pretty cool. Now look at this. Hey, buddy. Fuck. He didn't say back. I don't think I need to elaborate much further. During big battles, fodder demons respawn in order to give you kind of a steady supply of targets to bash into. Kind of like how fodder demons respawned in Eternal to provide chainsaw targets. The shield bash feels so unbelievably awesome to use. I'm afraid to go back to Eternal and return to these friggin' baby dashes. On top of that, you have a sprint button. Altogether, you're gonna be covering a lot of ground fast, so something you'll notice is that Doom the Dark Ages tends to have much bigger and open battle arenas. Your jump has also gotten much worse in battle in comparison to the previous games. You get no double jump, and you pretty much have no movement control of the Doomslayer once you jump in a certain direction. So you're gonna be grounded pretty much constantly as you shield bash into enemies across battlefields or sprint and strafe around projectiles, just like classic Doom. That also means battle arenas are gonna be more flat. No more intricate or fancy movement, you're gonna be focusing a lot more between balancing your gunfire, shield, and melee usage, which I found really fun. Let's look at the shield first, cause that's kinda like the big new thing, you know what I'm saying? Slam, throw, parry, block, shoot off, and ricochet. Wait, what the fuck? That is awesome! Your shield eats up your entire right click button, as well as an additional button to throw. Yep, the weapon mods have been replaced. Nah, not really, but they've been reworked. I'll get to that in a bit. Obviously, the shield is meant to be used alongside your guns simultaneously, so the key binding works beautifully. It's really convenient and comfortable for the hands. We've been over shield bash, so let's look at throw. Capable of decimating hordes of fodder demons, it can also be used against the big boys and stun them at the cost of safety. At any point, your shield can be summoned back in case you need it. Blocking is, well, for defense. Excessive use of blocking will result in bad things happening. And then there's parrying, one of the most important parts to surviving. Almost every enemy has at least some sort of parryable attack. This allows for much more back and forth interactions with the heavier demons, which in my opinion makes for more engaging gameplay. And let me just say, the sound it makes, damn! The game really pushes the player to make good use of parrying. It's how a lot of enemies are effectively taken down, and it opens many windows of opportunity to deal lots of damage. Some enemies become bigger threats when left at a distance, which encourages the player to get in close and bait in parryable attacks. Unlike Doom 2016 and Eternal, you're not always running away from enemies and getting whatever damage you can get in on the go. If you see a Hell Knight, take that motherfucker head on, parry a slam, and then BAM! Dead. And yes, the super shotgun can indeed one-shot a Hell Knight. It's as awesome as it sounds. But don't think that the parrying gets too repetitive or too basic or some bullshit like that. Keep in mind, you're gonna be taking on many enemies on the go. It is absolutely thrilling clearing hordes of enemies, then parrying a bitch that just jumped into my vision, pop its head off, and then shield slamming a demon across the arena just to parry some other shit that I didn't even know was there until the very last second, throw the shield saw at someone, and then start spraying their ass. It is absolutely amazing, and it is the same kind of intensity you get that we all know and love from the previous games. Now let's look at the Triple C thick demons. I think fighting these guys one-on-one feels much better than the previous games. Since the parry mechanic is so heavily integrated in the game, there isn't too much to the super heavy demons other than parry shoot, but that's not much of a bad thing. Now I'm not gonna spoil any boss fights here, but I will bring up a teensy tiny spoiler for Doom Eternal. This is the Marauder. Shut the fuck up. Very infamously known for being a dickhead, and wasting an hour of my life on this one fucking encounter. You have to stay a certain distance away from him, otherwise he attacks. You can't hurt him. If you try to, he'll block and send a stupid fucking dog your way. You gotta wait until his eyes flash green and then shoot. Do that a few more times and he's dead. Generally speaking, I do like the idea, and his design is awesome. I don't mind fighting him, really. But the problem with this guy is that in the midst of battle, when you're flying around all over the place taking on so many other enemies, it's pretty hard to find a good moment to take him on. Like, by design, you're supposed to wait for this guy to do his stupid eye flash, which takes about, let's say, about every 85 years, and sometimes he'll move in closer or farther or dash away, which fucks up the whole distance requirement thing, which results in me taking unnecessary damage and shouting illegal things at my monitor. This guy was Doom Eternal's attempt at making a parryable enemy. It didn't fit with the other enemies, which focused more on weak points. Doom the Dark Ages, however, has parrying smeared all over the game's asshole. In Eternal, the Marauder had only one opening for attacking. In the Dark Ages, these kinds of enemies have several. They're also a lot more aggressive and don't require you to stay a certain distance away from them. All you have to do is get in their face, or they'll hunt you down. The majority, if not all of these guys' attacks are parryable, and they happen much more of the time, but they're also more clear. Attacks also vary, and these enemies are almost always vulnerable. In Eternal, you had to parry the Marauder with a heavy-hitting weapon to stun him, while in the Dark Ages, you can use whatever the hell you want. You can exchange back-to-back blows in between parries, or you can literally hold left click and then parry whenever necessary. What I'm trying to say is, one-on-one fights still feel really engaging, and they're a lot more fun in the Dark Ages in comparison to the previous games, in my opinion. Now, why did I have to bring up the Marauder? I'm gonna be honest, I don't really know. I don't think it was that necessary. Hey man, I'm really sorry for making fun of you earlier.
Do you mean it?
Nah.
Big Smoke, it's me. Come on, chill.
The actual boss fights in this game also feel much better to fight than the previous games because the whole back and forth stand and fight stuff really works in the boss's favor. Not to mention they still get custom attacks and phases and such. And they all go down through the shoot at it until it dies method. None of this green eye flashy flash dookie doo-doo, but I still think Doom the Dark Ages shines even more. The good bosses from the previous games requires you to shoot and then dodge. In this game, you shoot and parry. and dodge. Strafing and avoiding attacks or projectiles shines in this game specifically, so that's another positive. Now that you get a shield, you're also given more room for error. The bosses in this game are generally much more engaging and fun to fight, in my opinion. But even after yapping all that, I still think the bosses are a teensy tiny bit underwhelming in comparison to the normal combat. Same thing goes for the mini-bosses, but this game does pull a Doom Eternal move by making mini-bosses reoccurring enemies, so they're designed more for fighting alongside a bunch of other demons. You often have to balance fighting the super heavies and the other smaller demons. In my experience, it was really fun, but there were a few situations I had where it was hard to properly take on certain super heavies when there were other bastards trying to kill me. But in retrospect, I think that was more of a skill issue. I think in such cases, you should be focusing more on other enemies that are easier to kill but remain high priority targets. Well, anyway, in addition to your shooty shield combo, you also have your melee attacks. This is the primary method to getting your ammo back, just like the chainsaw from the previous games. A big criticism that came from Doom Eternal was the lack of ammo. I think this is a stupid critique, but some people did not like running out of ammo often, which is pretty fair. In Eternal, you pretty regularly had to seek out a fodder demon to press a button, watch an animation, and then you can get back to ripping and tearing. In 2016, the chainsaw was not as mandatory. It was uncommon to run out of ammo because your ammo capacity was much larger than Eternal, and you did get ammo pickups sometimes from just killing demons. In my 25-hour close to 100% playthrough of Doom the Dark Ages, I could count the amount of times I ran out of ammo for any of my guns on my 2 hands. And that's probably because I was spamming some weapons for the mastery challenges. You have a few melee options to choose from, and you could only equip one at a time. I won't get into the details of each, but they're pretty damn awesome. Just a simple bonk at any demon will give you some ammo back, for all your weapons. You can also chain together multiple melee attacks for more damage, ammo, and aura. You store melee charges, meaning you can only get a set amount of bonks you can pump out at a time. But your melee charges recharge passively on their own, and you can pick up melee ammo across each level. How the fuck does that even work? You also restore melee charges whenever you parry things, so you're really encouraged to get your hands dirty. Parrying shit or dealing big blows of damage falters demons, which gives you more openings to deal more damage with your melee attacks, and you regenerate them faster at the same time, and you could use a mix between your guns and bonking demons to land some juicy combos, which feeds you more ammo and baits and more parries, and you can like combo the shield bash, and like, you're never running out of ammo, man. And do I really gotta make myself clear? You see this, right? I'm not going crazy, am I? I'm assuming you have eyeballs and can see the saucy gameplay, except it's me playing, so it could definitely look better. This is indeed nightmare difficulty. This is without tampering with any of the custom settings and whatnot. All the mechanics flow so nicely with each other, and I'm not even mentioning the many synergies that you can mess around with all the weapon or equipment upgrades or all the crazy enemies there are. There is so much variety in the enemies, man. I'm still not gonna spoil much, but holy penis nuggets, man. Look at this fucker, yeah? Fuck you. These guys are some real hell to deal with. Get it? Sorry. If you played either of the previous Doom games, you should know that these guys suck. They can only be effectively killed from behind, but they're always charging at me, trying to get a hold of the meat slayer, and it works so well. God forbid you play Doom 2016 and you have to deal with these guys without the freeze bomb or the dash. And you know what these evil developers do? Make him invisible, damn it, because why the fuck not? Prince Azric ain't got nothing on these fuckers. Sorry, I wanted to bring these guys up because the Pinky finally got a glow up and it's actually fun to fight. And even better, the Spectre was completely erased out of existence. It only took 2 games. Goodbye, Spectre. You won't be missed. Instead of getting an invisible Pinky, we got an invisible imp. Invisible Big Imp. I guess this is like a tiny spoiler for this new enemy, but I don't care. You find him early on. Yes, there is another invisible enemy just like the Spectre, but these guys are 100 times better because the entire point of having an invisible enemy is to catch the player off guard, not catch them off guard and eat their ass. They're also easier to spot and easier to punish, which is nice. These guys have genuinely scared the fuck out of me like half the times I encounter them, but I enjoy it because I don't instantly lose half my health against them. It's just a simple spook and dead. And in case anyone cares, these Whiplash guys return. Oh, wait. They're not as annoying as in Eternal. Don't worry, guys. Holy shit, man. I went on a bit of a tangent there. I apologize for that. I mentioned earlier that weapon mods were reworked, yeah? Well, they really improved the system in my opinion. To put it simply, instead of having something attached to your weapon to give it a niche ability or slightly modify it, you just get an entire new weapon. I'm trying to stay calm here, okay? Hey man, give me a second. In Doom the Dark Ages, there are weapon classes. The different weapon mods are literally just different weapons. For example, the combat shotgun and the super shotgun are in the same class, the shotgun class. You press F to swap between the two weapons, just like swapping weapon mods in the previous games. Or if you like hotkeys, you can also press 1 to swap to your shotgun, and you can keep pressing 1 to swap between your two weapons. This system made managing the arsenal so much more convenient and comfortable to me. Doom the Dark Ages manages to blend the simple run-and-gun gameplay from 2016 with the complexity of Eternal. Enemies vary even more than Eternal, and some still have weaknesses, but how you handle enemies is up to the player. I'm pretty sure you can handle most, if not all, enemies with every weapon. Now, you can think of this as bad game design for not forcing the player to make use of their entire arsenal. That's what Eternal did. It made players make use of their entire arsenal. In Doom 2016, you could probably get through the entire game just using the super shotgun and the Gauss cannon. Doom the Dark Ages falls into the Doom 2016 side of things. But I will defend Doom the Dark Ages because now you also have the complexity of the shield and melee. In Doom Eternal, a lot of the player's focus is managing the different weapons, equipment, and enemies. In Doom the Dark Ages, that focus is shifted to the shield and melee. That is a lot less to manage, but it still carries the same kind of depth that the entire arsenal of Eternal had. It's not as overwhelming in my opinion. I also believe all the weapons feel much more balanced than the previous games ever made their weapons. The weapons were all so awesome and fun that I wanted to use them all. I found it really fun trying out all the cool stuff and making certain things work together. I have never used all my weapons so evenly playing a Doom game before. Not only can you thank the improved weapon mod system, enemies, and balancing, but the developers made great efforts to make the weapons feel powerful. All of them. Kudos to the design teams for the models and sounds of these super weapons. The game just came out and I can safely say that these are by far my favorite weapon designs in the whole franchise. And the sounds, man, fuck! Get it off! Get off! Get off! Okay, we're back. Everything just sounds so heavy and brutal. It really plays into the stand and fight stuff and playing like an iron tank, as Base Hugo Martin calls it. And it's not even just the weapons, it's all the environment, it's how you interact with the environment, and even just moving around. You can really feel the heaviness, man. God damn. Also, I would like to point out that I find it pretty funny how loud the landing impact is. You can even kill fodder demons through your massive impact, which is absolutely hilarious. I swear to God, I feel like Big Bird busting down the door when I land. Visually, this game is beautiful. I don't think I need to elaborate much more than that, but I will. The art style of this game leans more towards the art style of Doom 2016, except I found it to be a little darker, which is pretty nice. Graphically, it's also a big step up from Eternal. The medieval war vibes, and whatever the fuck you may call it, I'm not that smart. It's all fucking sexy. It's real fucking good. You can watch Titans fight mechs or eat dragons, watch as the destruction of key locations unfolds before your very eyes, and encounter various safe zones where sentinels hold their ground. There's also a lot of gore action going on. There is so much visual variety going on and many details to observe and appreciate. My initial playthrough had me taking various and consistent pauses in the gameplay just to appreciate the sexy environments, man. Now I'd like to briefly talk about the soundtrack. If you instantly shit on this game because Mick Gordon isn't involved, then you could go fuck yourself. Obviously I miss Mick, and generally I do prefer his work on the previous Doom games more, but Doom the Dark Ages still got the volume adjustment treatment. And after a handful of levels, it got a second adjustment. Obviously music tastes are subjective, but for someone who generally dislikes metal music but makes an exception for Doom, I think this soundtrack is pretty damn good. I don't know shit about composing music. I hear sound and sound good, okay? The music is supposed to match the intensity of the combat, and I think Finishing Move did a good job. And I mean, hey, somebody had to step in and replace Mick. And while we're on the topic of mildly controversial things, I would like to bring up an arguably even more controversial topic. The glory kills. The glory kills are pretty much gone, no one's denying that. Sometimes you could get a fancy animation like sawing a Mancubus in half or sawing a Pinky's head off. Yeah, fuck you. But that kind of thing happened very rarely during my initial playthrough. That does make the rare instances a lot more hype and cool though. Instead of getting a cool animation for glory killing an enemy, you get a simple shield whack or kick or something like that. As far as gameplay goes, this is a great thing, and in my opinion, it works in the game's favor. Trust me, bro. There are tons more enemies in this game, so constantly triggering glory kills would slow down the overall pace of the combat drastically. In the previous games, I kinda used those to catch a bit of a breather in the middle of super intense gameplay, but in this game, the adrenaline is running constantly, and I absolutely love it. There's still a very tiny bit of slow-mo that happens when you parry something or use a melee attack, and that to me kinda acts like the new way to catch a breather. What's funny is I actually found the rare glory kills sometimes messing with my vision and overall awareness of my surroundings. It just feels a lot nicer to quickly finish off an enemy, get your health back, get ammo back because it's melee, and then continuing to whoop more ass. If you really care about flair and all the cool animations over the gameplay, then I suppose this would not be a welcome change. I do think the devs probably could have spiced up the animations a little though, or maybe made some kind of glory kills for the heavier demons. But even if it doesn't seem like it, the gameplay feels much better with the traditional glory kills gone. But the glory kills and fancy animations are still there for the bosses and mini-bosses. It feels even more awesome than before when glory kills happen at such moments. It's the scarcity effect in action. As far as the exploration goes, I thought it was very fun. There's a mix between more linear levels like the previous games and very open levels where you get thrown in a big playground and seek out several objective points. There are demons littered throughout these levels, including your traditional big battles, some smaller encounters and optional encounters. Some levels are a mix of both linear and open segments. I found the new open levels to be really fun. You could just run wherever the hell you want and find some demons to kill. Completionists may dislike backtracking for secrets and such, however, unless you grab everything in one go. The fast travel system from Eternal is removed, and instead the game will have unique objective markers indicating points of no return to warn you that you won't be able to backtrack if you choose to go ahead. The game also has similar markers indicating the end of levels. This also means that you don't get much of a sense at how long each level is. You can't estimate the length of a level based on your combat rating like in the previous games. Some levels took me like 30 minutes to complete, and some took me up to 2 hours. 1-ups make a return, but using them is optional, and you can only carry up to a few at a time. Falling off the map will no longer result in you taking damage. Slayer gates are removed, unfortunately, but I think the game is long enough and has plenty of intense encounters, both mandatory and optional, to satisfy the player. Something I think is pretty cool is how interacting with key items and such feels like Doom 2016. What I mean by that is you will actually see and pick up weapons to unlock them, or steal a keycard from a corpse or something like that. You'll get holograms for things like keys in Doom Eternal, but once you arrive to such key's location, you'll then find it with a corpse. I think that's pretty cool and immersive. Secrets are littered throughout most levels. I found them pretty fun to find and collect for the most part. They're just like the previous games. Some are hard to miss and some are hard to find. However, there is a certain portion of the game that has some very awesome and creative secrets, but I won't spoil anything. There are generally more secrets you can find in this game, but they consist less of codex pages and toys, but also weapon skins and resources used to upgrade your arsenal. A lot of secrets also tend to have mini combat encounters, which were pretty cool. Anyone who, for whatever reason, disliked the platforming in Eternal would be happy to know that that is all gone. Yeah, platforming is pretty much gone, and wall climbs have been streamlined, which I think is pretty funny, but overall is a very welcome change. Instead of platforming, there are more puzzles, which are usually pretty simple, but they were still fun and served as a great way to break up the combat. Mission challenges make a return, and they normally reward you with resources to upgrade your arsenal. Challenges vary a bit more than the previous games, and there are no more bullshit glory kill challenges such as getting a left side glory kill when it's actually a right side glory kill, and sometimes I don't even know where the fuck I should be aiming when the game just decides to glory kill somewhere else completely unrelated to where I was aiming in the first place. Plus 50 points. Weapon mastery challenges are also back, but instead of gaining a busted upgrade for completing these challenges, you just get a nice weapon skin. Health, armor, and ammo upgrades have all been streamlined and gate kept behind stronger enemies that you'll encounter throughout your journey, which is one less set of menus that you have to deal with. Previously in Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, you had a fuck ton of menus you had to deal with to upgrade all sorts of things. In Doom the Dark Ages, all of your upgrades are organized in one big menu that's separated into much clearer categories and then into God of War style skill trees. Your main currency used for all upgrades is gold. You get gold by completing challenges or by finding them across levels. Gold can be found on the auto map, and it's clear how much you can find in a given level, so I never had any issues with it. Alongside gold, you can collect 2 other precious materials for getting even stronger upgrades: rubies and wraithstones. Yes, it is another 2 currencies, but you get far fewer of them, and they stand out much more than shit like Praetor tokens or Sentinel batteries, in my opinion. Sometimes I just gotta wonder why the new Doom game went woke. Like, what are these guys even doing? Making Doom more accessible to others? Giving my alpha male Doomslayer a shield? I can't believe Bethesda and Xbox changed Doom like this, man. Alright gang, who gives a fuck about all that? Let's talk about the mechs and dragons now. Yes, in case you didn't know for whatever reason, this shit was hyped up in the trailers, and the fact that you could even ride a dragon or operate a fucking mech is just awesome. Guys, I didn't know how to transition off the currency talk, okay? But anyway, let's forget about that. Let's take a deep dive into... Sorry guys, I don't mean to be a downer, but yeah, that's pretty much what most of the dragon and mech combat is all about. Attack, dodge, attack, yeah. These mechanics unfortunately lack the depth and intensity that the standard combat has, but generally speaking, I think the dragon and mech segments are still pretty fun, even though I try to make them look bad. I think the biggest highlight of both these segments is the sense of scale you get. You get to admire these crazy and detailed environments that you sometimes were once traversing by foot, and you get to fly or run through these giant detailed spaces that are just amazing to soak in. The combat for both the dragon and the mech segments just involve spamming or holding left click and then dodging whenever necessary. The unusually flexible mechs you control allow you to pull off some fancy moves and destroy a fuck ton of buildings and such, which feels pretty satisfying. With the dragon, you can actually fly around tight passages and explore. Sometimes you get to chase down and destroy hell ships while they lure you into objectives you have to pursue, which is pretty engaging. And they even gave the dragon some glory kills, which is pretty sick. Generally, all the dragon and mech segments are pretty short, and they don't happen very often, so they don't feel like a hassle. The dragon and mech segments are used to break up the main grounded combat and maintain good pacing with the game. And hey, I think it does a great job at doing that. Sometimes you actually alternate between the main grounded combat and the mech or dragon stuff within individual levels, which I found really friggin' cool. It gave some levels a lot of spice and made for a lot of cool moments. Personally, I'm a much bigger fan of the dragon than the mech because it's often used to traverse between objectives or battles, and I don't know about you, but I think it's a lot cooler flying into battle than running into battle. But let's put aside the negatives. At the end of the day, you get to ride a fucking dragon and operate a giant mech. Look at these titan beasts, man. I am tossing these bastards around like toys. The dragon and mech segments are really easy though, even on the hardest difficulty. Let's cover the difficulty of the overall gameplay. For my initial playthrough, I played on nightmare difficulty without modifying any of the settings. It's pretty much the same kind of difficulty we all know and love from the previous games. The game was still really fast, enemies were aggressive and did a fuck ton of damage. By default, the projectile speeds are not super fast, and the parry window is pretty generous, but it tended to feel less so in the middle of intense battles. The keybinds by default were mostly Meekle approved, and it was overall much less overwhelming than Eternal's controls. There are less buttons you need to make use of and less things you have to keep track of. There were quite a few tutorials, but they were not so overwhelming like I remember Eternal being. If you've played Eternal and choose to play this game, I really encourage you to get out of the Eternal mindset by jumping around and trying to move around all crazy and shit, swapping weapons and enemy faces. This game plays very differently. If you walk into this game expecting Doom Eternal 2, then you will probably be left disappointed. Now let's look at the sliders. I played around with them for a few hours and think they're very nice to have. Only real gamers max out the sliders, and holy chalupa! Okay, fine. I guess we can start with an easier level. Okay. You can turn down the parry window if you think it's too generous, you can speed up projectiles if you think they're too slow, you can make the game more forgiving with increased resource drops, customize your damage output, and more. You can also customize these settings at any point during the campaign. There's unfortunately no option to turn down or turn off the slow-mo you get from parrying or using melee, which is something I hope gets added in the future, but that's a very minor nitpick for the sweats. The game speed slider is there if you really want to speed everything up, but I will say that this slider speeds up everything in-game. I'm talking movement for everyone, animations, sound effects, and any kind of voice dialogue, which I'm not a fan of. Only the music and cutscenes are unaffected. I wish you could customize specifically what you want to speed up instead of fast-forwarding everything in general, and yes, that also means you can play in slow-mo. I did try slowly ramping up the game speed when trying it out, and honestly, it's pretty damn awesome. I like balancing things out by making resource drops worth more, and I like making the projectile speed faster. On a first playthrough though, I do not recommend playing with increased game speed. I feel like it ruins the first time experience outside the combat more. If you really want to crank it up from the get-go, then I'd say keep it to a minimum, or look at the other sliders first. The game is already plenty fast and difficult by default. Bugs were pretty much non-existent in my time playing this game. The only two standout problems I encountered was a singular game freeze and probably the smartest demon I've encountered in the entire franchise. I did kinda go through the settings before starting the game, and I had to do a lot of trial and error to get rid of some stupid blurry nonsense and increase my frame rate drastically. Some of that might be visible in the footage I've recorded from the earlier levels, so my bad I guess. And then with that covered, there's one last thing I would like to cover. Everyone's favorite part of Doom. The story. Now listen. I've played through Doom 2016 and Eternal several times each. I've read through the codex pages several times, and I've watched some videos here and there explaining the lore. Playing through Doom the Dark Ages, I can confidently say that I had no fucking clue what was going on. I'm partly joking with that, but the entire narrative was pulling moves that often confused me. A lot of things would happen or be explained, and then I would internally respond with, well, I guess that's how that works. It was still fun to follow along, much like with the previous games. If you know some of the lore from the previous games, then I think you would appreciate the story in this game more. It was pretty cool seeing the Slayer interacting with the Sentinels and overcoming a lot of bullshit he had to deal with. I also think the Slayer was given more emotion in this game despite his silent and intimidating character. And the cherry on top, we get to see King Novik. Smash. It's a nice story to just shut your brain off to and enjoy the ride. There's lots of hype moments and aura, so if that's enough for you, then you'll probably really like it. The cutscene budget has also shot through the roof with this new game. 2016 had these unskippable exposition segments, Eternal had a handful of cutscenes, and The Dark Ages has a fuck ton of cutscenes, and I really enjoyed it. There's a lot less codex pages to collect, which I really appreciated. There's only codex pages for many of the locations you visit and a handful of characters, and they're all pretty brief. The rest is done through the environmental storytelling or main narrative. So that's Doom the Dark Ages for you. Now for the million-dollar question that absolutely nobody cares about my opinion for. Is this game worth $70? Or in my case, 90 Canadian dollars? I don't fucking know. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'm not here to tell you should spend X amount of monies on a certain video game. If what you heard and saw from this video was appealing enough, then go spend your money however you like. I don't give a fuck. Wait for a sale if you want to, or get it on Game Pass or something. I paid full price for it and I had a blast. I don't regret anything. That's my money and I chose how to spend it. If you're still here and watched this entire video, thank you. I really hope you enjoyed it. Personally, I think this new Doom game is incredible. I love the more casual run-and-gun style gameplay from 2016 mixed with the complexity of the shield and melee. I find it less stressful and overwhelming than Eternal, but it still has that same kind of intensity I love from Eternal. If you really like this spoiler-free review, then why not leave a comment or like or subscribe or something, huh? Wink wink nudge nudge. Let me know if there are things that I can improve on. I'm a very stupid fella that's trying to branch out, try new games, and make some videos. Next up on the Meekle channel, I want to talk about Deltarune. I think this video is going to come out after Deltarune chapters 3 and 4 release, but I want to play it. I played Undertale, but not Deltarune, so I plan to play Deltarune's chapters 1 to 4 all at once, for the first time. Anyway, that's all for me. Have a great day, internet user. Thanks for watching.